Meeting called to order. Roll call, please.
President Tannhauser.
Here.
Clerk Budnick. Trustee Kucharski.
Here.
Trustee Larson.
Here.
Trustee Biela. Trustee Gregorio.
Here.
Trustee Jelson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Stand up for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve and adopt the minutes of the regular board meeting of July 24th, 2019, as presented and published, and that they be made part of the record hereof.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Larson, second by Trustee Gregorio. Roll call, please. 4-0. Motion is approved.
We abstain, right? You abstain. Donna, because you wasn't here, so you didn't vote.
No.
Great. That's fine.
There's nothing for the president's report there.
Wait, what did I? That was right then. There was 4.
There's
There was 4.
trustees.
Okay,
There were four
so
yes
that's fine.
votes.
You did not. You did
I
vote.
vote.
You can't. And you can't. That's fine. Okay. Sorry.
So nothing on the president's report. This portion of the agenda, which we have set aside for the public comment. Anyone wishing to address the village board and comment upon any matter which pertains to the municipal business of the village of Norridge may do so by filling out a public participation form. All forms will be collected and given to the village administrator. You will be called upon by the chair. After you've been called up, state your full name, spelling it out for the village clerk to note in the meeting minutes. State your address and limit your comments to 5 minutes. There is a microphone for your use if you feel needed, but must remain in its stand. So comments?
Are there any other cards before we begin?
I'll give, here, sir.
Yes.
Do that very well.
Giuseppe Zarillo.
Good evening, Lord. Mayor. Giuseppe Zarillo, Giuseppezzerillo, from Zarillo Realty, 4840 Cumberland. With all the negativity in the media regarding the police department, we always see it. I stopped by today to share a story on a positive note. Several weeks ago, we had an issue at a Zarillo Realty property, which is located in Chicago, where a vehicle went through it at about 3 in the morning. The driver, along with the vehicle, fled the scene. Later that afternoon, several blocks away in Norridge, 2 of your officers spotted that vehicle. I want to thank those 2 officers. They sat on that vehicle for several hours, waiting for me to arrive, waiting for Chicago police to arrive, and then they also sat there and waited for the Chicago police tow truck to arrive. Chief, please pass our gratitudes to Officers Anna Pino and Officer Bart Borowski.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you, Giuseppe.
Kurt Orwig.
Hi, my name is Kurt Orwig. I live at 8324 West Farragut Avenue. Before the board today is the voting of the R1 to R3 proposal for the residential change at the end of our street, Farragut and Cumberland. Though I did speak to the board last month with regards to this, President Tannhauser was not present. I believe you were just recently appointed into this, so congratulations on your new posting.
Thank you.
Again, I would like to say, with regards to the fact that this is an apartment zoning that's being done, it is not a condo project. There's no ownership in terms of the tenants, the community of Norridge with that. That's the first part. Second part is that this property was bought as an R1, was known to be an R1 property with it. There are numerous properties within Norridge that are already zoned as an R3 that could be developed further with it. Our street is a street without great access with it. There's a very narrow alley, essentially, in terms of the connection of it at the end of the street. parking is an issue. A lot of these things have already been talked about within the zoning hearing that was submitted to the board today with it. And I do encourage you to read the minutes with regards to that and to vote accordingly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments that they'd like to speak about? Yeah, you have to fill out a form.
Are you Mr. Thaddeus Pedrick?
Correct. 83. I live at 8345 West Farragut, and my wife also. And but I just want you to see pictures that I took the other day, and in reference to what we're here for. They're asking for less grass and all that stuff, and I just want you to show you how our street floods. And if you guys can look at these pictures, I wish you could. And this shows exactly how our street floods. And with less grass, it'd be even worse. Would you guys want to look at it? Just go this way and you'll see them all. That was on Monday.
Just taking a picture of your room.
He flipped to
Oh.
taking the picture.
Yeah. Oh. Well, that's good.
Smart.
It shows they get it to you. Just go to the left with your finger, and then you'll see all the pictures.
No,
My car was the one in front of my house, and it shows our tires were buried.
One
To
way.
do it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, we're iPhone people.
Oh, I'm not this either.
I think we might have taken a picture of our comment up here.
That's okay. Here, that's my car in front of my house. That's our street. It's only 1.5, well, actually kitty corner from the lot that's in this over here. And that's more pictures. Well, that was a mailman turning into a driveway. You can see the street is quite flooded, and I don't think we need any more flooding than that. But there's some more pictures that shows the same thing, but over and over. But I just wanted you to see that. That was on Monday after that big rain. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question. I did not pull up, my name is Frank Farragut. I did not pull up the form. I just have a simple question to ask you. Is it possible to have in Farragut put a couple of signs up and no parking, put like a, mostly Norridge area is all like residential parking. Why can't they do the same thing on Farragut?
Brian?
You get a petition going with the residents, you turn the petition in that you'd like.
Most of my petition, all of them right here.
Okay,
You have to, okay, what are you saying, that you want it written down?
well, with the board's permission, we don't have to do that, but what we do is we send out I call it a secret survey to every resident
Okay,
to make sure, because sometimes if you approach your neighbors, they're gonna sign it because they don't wanna offend you. But
yes,
then we ask for a secret ballot back to the village over here, and we go by what that says. I think there's a certain percentage that has to be, I think 60 or 70% of the people have to agree to something like that.
yeah,
The resident parking only allows anybody with a Norridge sticker to park on your street.
okay,
And then we do give guest passes out to every home, and if you're gonna have a large party, you can come in for the one day and get 8 of them if you need.
correct.
And that's how it works.
And also another question, why does people like across the street on Berwyn have to come and park on our street, which they are from Chicago? And a lot of time in the wintertime when the snowplow pass by, the plow cannot get through. I'm right in the corner there where this property is, and a lot of time I break my back to clean up my driveway, but in the meantime, here comes the snowplow, and he plows all the snow again under my curb by the sidewalk. Now, for me to get out, I have to clean up again my driveway in order to be able to get out. Is there any other way can this be resolved?
We're always looking to resolve it, but nobody can come up with a good way of doing it. You're getting out before the plow gets there. The plow gets there, he's gonna
Yes.
push it back in.
Correct.
So it's a never-ending battle that we have over here.
But is there any way, like maybe you could get two small plow, be able to put it some corner someplace?
maybe after the snow, but again, we only have so much equipment and we're trying to do the whole town at one time. We're trying to get the whole town done at one time. We can't afford during the heat of the storm to put 2 trucks on one street. Later on, after it stops, yes, we could try something like that.
But
We don't
most
go
of-
back and clean individual driveways. It's just
But most
too
of the
difficult.
time, always our street on Farragut is the last one who gets cleaned.
That I can look into.
Okay, thank you for listening.
If you could, sir, if you could just fill out
Yes,
the
I will.
front in the back before you leave,
Thank
that'd
you.
be great, thank you.
Any other comments? Oh, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Richie, and I work with a company that was commissioned by the property owner to prepare the preliminary design for the proposed building at the lot. There's a few comments, if you don't mind, I'd like to address on behalf of the owner. Now, first, the owner of the property is the father, and they've lived here in this community for a few years, and they have a business close. So when they decided to buy this property, it was a conscious decision that they wanted to be in this neighborhood. And they're a tight-knit family, so they decided to live together. Even after the kids grow up, they decided to live together next to each other. So the first option was to build them a one building where they can be semi-individual, but at the same time very close together. So that was the premise for why we approached the design this way. Now, after the meeting, we heard a few comments and from the neighbors, and I'd like to address some of them if you don't mind. The issue of the building being a rental or an ownership. I mean, if the board allows or the neighbors allow, it doesn't have to be a rental. This can be an ownership, a townhouse type, if that would be approved. Because they're not interested in renting this. It's not an investment to the family. They want to live here and stay here. It was a decision that they made that they want to belong to this neighborhood. Now the issue of the flooding, the landscape, we did ask for a variance to reduce the amount of landscape. But even if we go with the design of a single family house, the requirement for the landscape is actually less strict. So we'll end up with, if not less, with the same amount of landscape. So whether we go with a multi-family or we go with a single family, the landscape would still be the same, if not less. Now, as far as traffic, the number of traffic, whether with this family, whether we go with a single family or not, it's going to be the same. It's the same family that really live together and close to each other. Now, they live on the corner of Cumberland and Farragut. So the first decision they're going to make is basically exit to Cumberland. We've discussed this many times, the owner and I, and the option of going through the neighborhood to go is not an option to him. So it's actually the other way around. All those traffic would be in front of his house, exiting to Cumberland. So I don't think the fact that this family is going to move here, whether it's a single family or more, it's going to increase the traffic in any, if we go with a single family versus a multi-family. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?